Hoarding potential does not equal a result. Hoarding potential does not equal revenue. Hoarding potential does not equal attention. Hoarding relationships and doing nothing with them is not helping anybody move forward. It requires effort. It requires that we move something, not that we sit back and we wait. And every time I get to this point of the year, I have the same conversation, and it's about tending to your garden. So let's think about your garden here, because this is a beautiful, beautiful thing when the concept is understood and it's actually utilized. So I think about your garden, and I think about your garden and the different sections of your garden, okay? And your garden is your business. In your garden, you have plants that are producing. Let's call those flowers that are creating flowers for you. Vegetable garden that's creating vegetables for you. You have plants that are actively producing and yielding, okay? You're picking them, they're yielding more. Then you have plants that are growing. And these plants are in your garden, they're planted, they're out of the soil, and they're growing. They're not producing yet, but they're on their way to producing. Then you have seeds that have been planted in the ground that are coming to life and becoming plants that are then going to produce. And then you have soil, which is prepared to be planted, but unplanted, but it's ready to go. It's tilled, it's fertilized. The moment you put a seed in it, it's going to start growing. And then you have unprepared soil, soil that is in your garden that has the capacity to be turned into prepared soil, to have a seed planted in it, to then grow into a plant, to then that plant produce a flower or a vegetable. And that's basically your business. That's basically your business. And what tends to happen is we look at the garden and we stare at the plants that are producing. And we measure our value and worth and the results on those plants that are producing. And so what do? We stare at them. Then what do we say? I want more plants that are producing. I want more plants that are producing. But then in the meantime, what do we not do? We don't prune, water, or tend to the plant that is a week or two away from producing because it's not getting our energy or our intention, i.e. it's not getting our sunlight. So we're shining all of our light on the plants that are already producing, and then we're leaving the plants that are close to producing or the ones that are growing out of the soil or the unplanted soil in the dark so that nothing can happen. And then what ends up happening is that the plants that are producing got too much sunlight. They actually finished their cycle and they stopped producing. We picked everything that was there, and then we're like, I need more plants that are producing. So then we go out to try to find plants that are producing and to transplant the ones that are already working into our garden, except that's not how it works. And then eventually we lose it all, have to start over. But in actuality, if we tended to the entire garden and all we did was give equal light and water and nurture and love to the plants that were almost producing, to the seeds that were turning into plants, and then in that spare time, making sure that we were planting in the soil that was ready, and then tilling the soil that wasn't ready to keep the cycle going, we would be producing 24/7, 365 for as long as we wanted to, instead of chasing feast or famine.